I don't know if y'all heard, but just recently in the news, there's a story of women in all women jail getting pregnant by trans women that are also locked up there. Have y'all heard about that?
Yes.
No,
Oh
I
my
haven't heard yet, but I'm gonna look.
God. I'm like, all right, so see, and this is one of the reasons why some people think that, like you said, Isaac, some people believe there should be separate bathrooms, there should be separate this, even if they trans. And this is like a perfect example because obviously these trans women aren't all the way, they like our T.S. Madison that a lot of us like, not all the way, you know,
They kept the
they
they
chopped
kept
it
the
all off. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
they kept they pre-op, what they call the
Right,
pre-op.
right, 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 right. But I just thought that story was so interesting because it's like three, four, five ladies in jail, and I'm like, okay, I wonder if they trans, if they up here messing with these women in the all women jail because like men, like gay men, straight men, sometimes they turn gay when they go to jail, and sometimes they just in there for the stay. You know what I mean? Like, you think this is just something these transgenders was doing just because ain't no men around? You know what I mean? Mm.
I,
And got these women knocked up.
I mean, that's the thing,
It's just
gen,
crazy.
gender expression and sexuality often for people kind of not the same a lot of times. So that's why it's like that's why like it's for me it's like yes, as like okay, look, I look at it like this too. When you go into like say if you take transgenders out the equation,
Mm-hmm.
nobody is gonna go in the men's restroom asking other dudes, "Hey, are you attracted to other dudes?" Same thing in the female restroom.
Right.
Nobody gonna be in the female restroom. Girl, do you like cat? Nobody gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's
I'm
kind of
like, what's
like,
it to you, bitch?
yeah, you see what I'm saying? But when it comes to trans, just be, I mean, growing up in New Orleans, I didn't see people who cross dress, who do a bunch of stuff like that, and they're not gay, they're not homoerotic. They
No. Okay.
might do that because they're different. It don't necessarily mean that they're not attracted to the opposite sex. So I would have an issue with the thought of my niece or my daughter in there with someone who has enough testosterone to produce a penis and some balls in
Mhm.
there. Not to say that they're going to be a rape. I'm sorry, I can't say that. The R word.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
But
not.
that is one thing that people that would concern people. But I see what you're saying. It's more than is not mainly the fear of that, but just the fear of them having sex. Just you know,
Well, yeah, like you. It just is. I just. I'm very. Um, I have very strong views on that because, like, at the same time, I'm not anti trans people. I don't think they should be invisible. Invisible, I'm sorry, invisible, child. I don't think they should be invisible, you heard me? But I don't think that, like, for example, we don't see, it's not equally yoked. You don't see a bunch of female to males out here trying to participate and step in natural born male gender shoes. It's really heavy. You don't hear about scandals of heterosexual women of any color being fooled or in some type of scandal with a female to male transgender. So you kind of have to ask yourself and pay attention. Why is that? And I was on this YouTuber, Star Monroe, the other day, and we
mm-hmm.
had that conversation. And we was talking about what's that nigga name? Benzo. Cause see, I'm not into celebrities, child. I ain't even gonna
Benzo,
front. Yeah,
from Love
he.
and Hip Hop or something.
Yeah, we were.
Benzino,
But
Benzino,
Zeno.
Benzo,
yeah.
Benzino.
Yeah, we were talking about his scandal. And I'm just like, it's always, and I hate to say it, but it's
Hold on, what
always
scandal? What? I missed it. What happened?
okay. Well, baby, look, it's all over the internet. The dude, I
Oh,
guess, off of Love and Hip Hop,
uh-huh.
he got outed out by a trans woman model who
What?
recorded, and that's not like a sex tape or nothing like that, but there's conversations and all that. Yeah, he got out, outed out by a trans woman. And I
Oh,
see your face and see I'm not surprised you're because I didn't see a few things because
Ooh.
especially with straight men who mostly sleep with women. You dig? It's easier. Let me tell you about the
He's one of
psychology.
those ones on the show who was acting like all super
Yes,
macho and
yes,
yeah.
yes. That be the main ones, baby. And then it's like, well, see, the thing with men is that society has put it out there like, if you sleep with a man that's or a cross dresser or a trans woman, then and at the end of the day, despite there being a penis, society, especially in black community, have said these are not real men, even if they're cross dressers. So
Mhm.
that same pathology has played a role in the minds of black men. So when they're bi curious or anything like that, they think just because they're sleeping with someone who doesn't present themselves as an ultra hyper masculine man or someone who produces a more feminine appearance in their mind, despite them being attracted to that person because they see a woman, but at the end of the day, most of the trans women that most men who are bi curious want to sleep with have, they want them to have that. That's what
Mhm.
gives it a little something extra. So how
Mhm.
you gonna say at one moment it's not a real person, or I'm sorry, it's not really the anatomy of that person simply because what they have. But when things go down in the bedroom, just growing up in New Orleans, baby, not every single time. Every time you see a straight man and a trans woman, it's not always him doing the penetrating. And I'm gonna just put that over there.
Oh, honey. Oh, it's about to get hot in here. And I know that. I know that. I have heard that sometimes, see, it doesn't, because when it comes to the community, like the new term that I learned a few years ago was fluid. Like it's like I was like, what is fluid? What is fluid? But then when I started hearing what people talk about it in the community, like T.S. Madison, I love me some T.S. Madison. She be
Me
breaking stuff
too. Me too. I love TS,
but
man. She's
yeah,
honest.
she be breaking stuff down for the people who don't know what stuff is, like me. And it's basically like you just like who you like. One day you might be attracted to a trans, then you might be attracted to somebody who's bi, and then you might be attracted to a woman. It's like just because they have the peen or whatever, don't necessarily mean that they the top.
Right.
So yeah, I'll be learning more and more about the community and proper terminology and all that kind of stuff to use because I do try to be as respectful as I can. You know.
Right. But they also need to understand this, and that's why I don't identify with the alphabet soup community. You
Mm,
can't cause everybody to see things. You can't let other people not be. Like, even for myself as a same gender loving black man, I'm not
mm,
going to, if I ever decide to get married, which I won't, I'm not gonna want. Why in the fuck would I want my celebration of my relationship in a religious organization that says I'm an abomination? Why
mm,
would I want to sit there and impose when these people have had centuries of putting together their dogma and their doctoral texts? Why would I want to go push in those spaces? Like I'm thinking like that makes no sense. You
yeah.
can't allow. You can't, you shouldn't force people in that sense. Now, when it comes to being an American, paying your taxes, having your Social Security, I think that should be the case. But
Mhm.
I don't think that same gender loving relationships should have the ability to force religious. Even though I'm a non-religious, I'm so not. I'm very much a heathen, but at the same time, yeah, I'm very much a heathen. But at the same time, within reason, it's like, well, nah, because I know what it feels like to have been forced in heterosexuality throughout
Yeah.
my life. Like, people want to talk about the agenda. Do you know how many times men, especially black gay men, we were forced to? The reason why so many black gay men have wives and children before, not because necessarily they don't like women, but they were put in a situation they were forced, and you
Mhm.
made them have to
Like
choose.
they didn't have a choice
And,
because they would be outcasted if they
yep.
wasn't.
And the
Hmm.
irony is, people want to say that, what we do is a choice. And I'm like, well, no. So, and I always ask people that, I said, that's strange to me because even with me being with a man, I don't walk around thinking I know what turns every man on, though. So how do you as a straight man? So you're going to tell me that I took my hard dick that I have for a woman because you say I'm choosing to be with a man. So you telling me I naturally get an erection and I'm a sexual attracted to a woman, but then I would take my hard penis that I'm supposed to have for a woman and put it in a man choosingly and deal with all of that? That makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And the problem is too many heterosexuals see there are different there are people who engage in heterosexuality, but they're not opposite gender loving. Same
Right.
thing with homosexuality. Ben's Engelman and these men who are having sex with other men on the low, they're not same gender loving. They just engage in homosexuality. And
Right.
it's
Yeah,
more,
I hate
yeah.
when people say, "Oh, they chose to do that," because when you look at all the things that have happened in real life and in movies or on TV shows with people who have been outed or people who they get kicked out, they family throw them out, they get abused, beaten, all this. Like, who chooses just wakes up and says, "I'm going to go through this." Not like being gay is like the worst thing in the world, but it's what comes with it sometimes.
Yeah, and then I tell people like, I know I've had this discussion. It's like, as a Black American, you know, it's ridiculous to call us gay because that means to be carefree and lighthearted. You got to ask yourself, only heterosexual, only white, same gender loving men and women could be gay in that context. There's no fucking way me as a Black American, especially if I'm same gender loving. So you're telling me that my homosexuality makes me carefree and lighthearted, and you trying to tell me your heterosexuality makes you straight without curve or bend? How the fuck you figure with all of the travesties that's happened through heterosexuality? Just because you're heterosexual don't mean you properly know how to be opposite gender loving. There's nothing without curve or without bend about heterosexuals' behavior at all. And I'm not talking about just their sexuality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You see, that's it's them words, them spells we be using. But I'm not gonna get off. I'm gonna shut the fuck up and let somebody else talk.